Welcome to the Starter Girls Podcast, your ultimate source of inspiration and empowerment. We're here to help women succeed in every area of their lives: career, money, relationships, and health and well-being, while celebrating the remarkable journeys of individuals from all walks of life who've achieved amazing things. Whether you're looking to supercharge your career, build financial independence, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, the Starter Girls Podcast is here to guide you. Join us as we explore the journeys of those who dare to dream big and achieve greatness. I'm your host, Jennifer Loading, and welcome to this episode. Welcome to another episode of the Starter Girls Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Loading, and wherever you are tuning in today, we are so thrilled to have you. I'm so excited about my guest today. In the dynamic world of business, there are those who don't just follow the path, they carve their own. Today's guest is a visionary leader whose career is defined by resilience, innovation, and a passion for empowering others. From her early days navigating challenges as a woman and non-native English speaker in a male-dominated industry to becoming a driving force behind one of Austin's most successful entrepreneurial ventures, she exemplifies the power of determination and strategic thinking. Her journey has impacted not only the businesses she's helped grow, but also the individuals she's mentored along the way. And so I am so excited to chat with her today. You guys are going to get to hear from her and her wisdom and her journey and all the neat things. But before we do that, I do need to do a quick shout out to our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Productions. Need to add excitement to your YouTube videos or some expert hands for editing? Look no further. Walt Mills is the solution you've been searching for. Walt is not only your go-to guy for spicing up content, he's the force behind a thriving film production company with numerous titles in the pipeline. Always on the lookout for raw talent, Walt is eager to collaborate on film and internet productions. With a background deeply rooted in entertainment and promotion, Walt Mills leverages years of skills to give you the spotlight you deserve. Want to learn more about Walt and his work? Head on over to waltmillsproductions.net and let your content shine. All right. And with that, we are ready to bring our guest on today. All right. So I'm thrilled to welcome Shanaz Hemmati to the Starter Girls Podcast as the co-founder and COO of Zen Business. Shanaz has played a pivotal role in transforming how aspiring entrepreneurs launch and grow their businesses. With a background in engineering, extensive leadership, experience at global organizations, and a commitment to diversity and mentorship, Shanaz brings a wealth of knowledge and inspiration to the conversation. So Shanaz, welcome to the show. I am so excited to chat with you today.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hello, and thank you so much for having me. This is super cool. I'm so excited to be here.
This is going to be so much fun. We have so many great people come on this show. And I don't know about you, but in your journey, I'm sure you've met a lot of amazing people. I think one of the beautiful things about getting to do this is just all the amazing people that I get to sit down and learn and take notes from and share their wisdom with the people that are tuning into this show every week. So thank you for taking time to jump on here and talk with me.
Thank you. Thank you. Life is all about the journey and the people you cross paths with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I want to talk about Zen Business because I know what it is and I'm familiar with it. There's going to be other people out there, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs are, but there's going to be somebody out there that's like, okay, what is Zen Business? So I want to start there first before we talk about your journey. I want you to tell us a little bit about what that company does and how it helps these aspiring entrepreneurs, or maybe they're entrepreneurs already out there.
We're a small business platform, and what we do is supporting entrepreneurs not only start and manage and grow their businesses. And so we acquire, entrepreneurs at the part of the funnel where they're just thinking about starting their journey and creating their corporation. And we do that by supporting them in any states nationwide, and all the products and services that the states require in order for you to create a corporation and keep it going and keep it compliant. And then the next step would be, now I need to get a employer identification number from IRS. Then once you have that, then it's like getting a business bank account. Then you need like a domain name and a website. So, and it keeps on going on and on. So it's all the products and services that somebody that's just starting their business would need. And we try to keep it simple, to take care of the complexities and all the back office stuff, where, to let the people to go focus on like what they want to do and what they're really good at, and supporting them as much as possible.
Yeah, I love that. And you're so right, because when I formed my LLC, I didn't know what I was doing at the time. And most of us don't, right? Like we're doing, like I've been an entrepreneur for years, but I came from the network marketing space. And so I didn't have to have one, so to speak, at that time. And then when I went out on my own, it was like, oh my gosh, I have to do research now. I have no idea what all this is. And then you got to do your yearly tax form and all of that. And so you guys are making it easier for entrepreneurs to say, hey, I don't have to worry about some of that stuff. We're going to take care of that and help you out with that. And that way you don't have to do all that legality stuff on your own,
That's true. That's been our goal. And, when we first started, we were thinking of like, okay, how can we really help entrepreneurs? This is what also like inspired me about starting this journey, because I've always been very passionate about people who have an idea and they want to go do something about it, and all about like small businesses, because that's the major part of the economy, right? And it keeps things unique, so it was like, okay, some of these processes, some of this work, it is so time consuming, it is so complicated, and keeping it, again, building something that would keep it as simple as possible for people who are just starting was a pretty big factor in what we were doing. And also providing the best of the class service and support was, what our strategy started on, and our goals of like making sure that we're really supporting these entrepreneurs the best way possible.
Yeah, I like that you said ideas, because those are the things that I get excited about too, are ideas. It's so funny, and you're probably, maybe you'll relate to this, maybe you won't. I'm building out a course right now, like a program, and I built this really big program out last year, and then I got to the end of it, and I'm like, okay, what do I do with this thing? Like I have this amazing product built out because I'm a creator and I like doing those kinds of things, but I don't know what to do with it. So I went into this mastermind to basically engineer it backwards, take it backwards, so that I could take somebody from the beginning, a brand new, let's say like you guys are taking brand new entrepreneurs. I'm taking somebody probably in the beginning, they're working and they're kind of stuck on, mine's more about helping them move through, getting unstuck. Mm-hmm. But let's just say taking them from the beginning and moving them to the end. All the little mundane pieces, the things that I have to do, that I'm having to do to build that, just wear me out. All I want to do is create and sell. That's my thing. I just want to make something magnificent and put it out to the world, right? But it's all these little pieces that you have to put into place that absolutely, as an entrepreneur, can overwhelm you, right? And so one of the things that's interesting, you're going to love this, because I'm talking about subconscious blocks. And I realized my biggest block is perfectionism. I get hung up on things and then I get stuck, and I'm like, I don't want to put it out there. If I can't do it right, I'm just not going to do it. And so I've learned now, going through this whole process, that I'm having to make these little time blocks for myself. I just give myself these deadlines so that I can say, this thing is going to be done by this day. You can go back and proof it after if you want, that's fine, but you're getting it done by this day, so that I will get off of it and move. But it's all that mundane, that stuff we don't enjoy doing.
Yeah, exactly.
That I think makes things so hard in the entrepreneur space.
Sure. And then again, the one person, right? They don't have all the help they need yet. Right. That would be like a future plan, and what could be done to help that one person to go to the next step.
Yes. And there's so much we could talk about on that, because I think that gets basically down to delegating, right? Like finding people to put our team. And speaking of which, in this process, I was trying to create a quiz for a funnel, and I was working on it for like 30 days. And I finally, Shanaz, I just got tired of messing with it. And I'm like, that's it. I'm hiring somebody. I'm just going to go find somebody to put this thing together. And I went through 2 people. You won't believe this. I went through Fiverr, and I had a person work on it, and they didn't get it right. And then I tried to find 2 more, and they just didn't take the job because they were just too busy. And then I went to Upwork, and I finally found this guy that was like incredible. He was very detailed and rebuilt it all out for me. Oh my gosh, he did it in like 3 days. I'd spent 30 days doing this. 3 days, he built it and was done like that.
Yeah.
Delegation.
So important. Keep on like finding people that can take something off your plate. Yes. And do it the best way possible. Saves a lot of time.
I agree. I agree. All right. Well, let's talk about you because you've had such an expansive career and your background in engineering. I went through and I was looking at all of your, your resume, basically all your accolades, all the things you've done, and I'm like, wow, so awesome. So you kind of talked about the inspiration, how this came about, but I'd really love to know, like, because your background's engineering, and so which is interesting because I'm married to an engineer, and I get that it's a different mindset than us people that don't do that. So I just kind of love to know, like, you talked about the inspiration of Zen Business, but like, what was this like? Because were you working in doing another project, working in something else in the corporate space? Walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So engineering, yeah, I have that engineering degree, but I really liked like software engineering aspect of things when I was like starting my career. So that's where I started. And it's all about like always love, enjoy technology and what can you build to solve like a problem and
Yeah.
the constant challenges around that and the constant learning as well. So during my career, at some point, I was recruited to join a startup here in Austin. This is like many, many years ago. And I really love the culture and the environment and where everyone, you get to wear many different hats at the same time and learn in so much in such a short period of time. And then also the fact that you're building stuff, you can move fast, right? There is not so many blockers keeping you from moving fast. So all of that really started my career in kind of the wanting and loving to be more a part of like smaller companies. So before Zen Business, I was at HomeAway, where also there I started really early on. And I had the opportunity to grow with the company as the company was growing. And I learned so much through that journey, so much about not only the technology aspect of things, everything about like data, because that's where I was focusing and I was responsible for, but also by providing all the internal teams to get their jobs done, which included HR, finance, sales, CS. I also learned a lot about different aspects of running and managing a company. So then I left it after Expedia's acquisition. I thought that that was the right time for me if I wanted to do something different. Or I also thought that, oh my God, I've already worked enough in my lifetime, to be retired. And then I really needed the time to figure out what is next in life for me. And that was the best time for me to do that. So I left, and then while I was taking some time off, and of course it was just like mind was still like moving and thinking, and I would be talking to different people. I would get excited about like doing another thing, and this time maybe at the just as a co-founder at the very early stage. So as I was talking to my old, friend and colleague, Ross Burdorf, who's our CEO here, and we go back together over 20 years at different companies, he had just started thinking about building such a solution for entrepreneurs and to help small businesses. And because I had so much passion and love for entrepreneurs and small businesses, this got really interesting for me. And I thought that this was a great opportunity, not only like solving pain points for entrepreneurs, but also the stage of the company and my role, where maybe I could bring in a lot of like my best learnings from the past in and building building this company. So this and then coming, like, sometimes people tell me, well, how did you go from like being a data person or DBA to being a COO? So for me, it's always about it's a new challenge, right? It's like, oh my God, this keeps it very interesting. And as long as you want to learn, as long as you're open to learning, then you can learn anything, especially these days with everything that exists online. It is much easier to go learn things if you're super interested. And that's how I got to this point. And when we were first starting, Ross and I were basically thinking of like, oh, divide and conquer, who's best at one thing and who's best in the other. And that's how we divided, what we were gonna own at the company and how we're gonna drive it. So it's been pretty cool journey, I always say I was so excited when we were first starting Zen Business. But then I feel like every day, like today, I'm even more excited about what we do and what we're going to continue doing than the excitement I had like almost 8 years ago when we were first talking about starting it.
It's awesome. Yeah, I was just fixing to ask you how long it's been in business. So that's awesome. Well, and I love that you're still excited about. I mean, and I think that I think as entrepreneurs, that's great because there are oftentimes we get excited about new adventures, right? And then we get in these state of mind sometimes where we sort of lose the thrill or lose the zest to continue going, And I love that you're still passionate about it. I can hear it in your voice and feel that energy that's coming through. I don't know. I pick up on people's energy. It's the funniest thing. I tell I feel like when somebody is passionate about something and when they need to probably jump ship and go do something else, so I love that you're passionate about this. And I would love to know because there are other companies out there. And like I said, I'm familiar with Zen Business. I see you guys, you come up in when I'm looking through my stuff at entrepreneurs, and I've sent people to you guys. But there are other companies out there, and I would love to know from you guys what you feel like. You mentioned some stuff in the beginning, but what you feel like really has been instrumental in the success of this company.
Thank you so much, Dodo, for referring customers.
Yeah.
I would love to hear from other people who've used our services and who are happy with it. And also, even if there is unhappiness, we still like to hear about it because that's been what has really helped us building the right solutions and building what our customers need. So I think what that differentiates us, as I mentioned like earlier on, is simplifying the processes and then the contact with the customers, really providing the support that they need. Again, a lot of these processes are really challenging. They're complicated. And how can we simplify it? Sometimes it's just as easy as get on the phone and then provide them the support they need and walk them through the process as fast as possible. So I think that, and paying attention to building what our customers are actually looking for to solve their problems. And I think our constant product market fit, all the research and surveys we've been doing from day one, has been super helpful in us to really connect with our customers and build them and support them in the way that they're looking for. And it's going to be helpful to them.
Yeah, you mentioned simplifying the process, and you said that, or you did say that earlier on. Thank you for iterating that. And I'm telling you, that is because whatever we're trying, I think this isn't true for any entrepreneur that's trying to solve a problem, right? People want simplicity. They want to be able to get through things without a lot of complication, and they want to be able to understand. And it's funny because as I'm building out my program, my course right now, I'm trying to get the worksheets together for it. And I'm like, I go through it and I look, I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. I need you to make this easy for the person taking this. This needs to be simple. If I'm not getting it, nobody else is going to get it. So let's get it right, And so that's a really good point that you're making is to emphasize this whole make the process simple for the client on the other side.
Yes. I mean, it's interesting you said that because so I am myself a customer of Zen Business, right? I mean, a lot of us are. Yeah. And when I'm running through some of the processes, then I'm immediately pinging the team. I'm like, okay, this thing, if I am not understanding it, or if I feel like I need to spend more time trying to figure out, and I am in this company, I know what we're working on, then I can't imagine what it'd be like for someone who's trying to move fast, who's trying to get this done as quick as possible. So we need to think about how can we make it better? So that also is a constant, a thought on our mind is how can we still there's always room for improvement. Nothing is ever perfect, and how can we continue improving it?
I like that you embrace this, idea of learning and growing because I think it's important. I think if we get into a place, and I've met people like this, and I would like to say that I think most entrepreneurs as a whole, they wouldn't be entrepreneurs doing well if they're not willing to evolve and grow and do all the things they need to do to better, right? It's important because I can't imagine. I mean, I kind of have sort of, I guess, that same mindset you do, that I'm always looking at how can I make things better and how can I make something more efficient. And I know that, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get hung up on, okay, what we like, but we also have to think about what our people need, really, because it's not just, it goes with it. We may like it, but we're one person, we're one person in that whole pool. Market research is important, So I want to ask you kind of a startup question, because I've had a few people come on here that have sort of been in that space with startup. And I think that is in itself is a really tricky thing, right? For anybody going in and kind of, especially in the technology world, I think I would love to know any advice you would give to somebody maybe that's thinking about doing that. I don't know, maybe they want to go into tech or build something, whatever, just some advice for somebody starting out.
Yeah. First, I love like people who have an idea, as I mentioned, that they want to go do something about it. So I usually encourage them to do it. Don't think about it too hard. The more you think about it, the harder it gets. You just mentioned it's like you're trying to build something and you want it to be perfect. It was taking too long. And then I've always been a perfectionist too, but I've learned is like, okay, nothing is ever perfect.
No.
And then if you try to make it too perfect, you will never be able to get it out. So start simple and easy, because you have to change, you have to pivot as you learn more, and then you have to keep on building on top of it if it's like successful. So my always my advice is just do it, right? Just to start somewhere and learn from it. And remember, it's a constant learning. And even failures, like to me, a failure is a big learning opportunity. Right. So don't think of if something is failing, don't think of it as a failure. Think of it, what have I learned through this process so I can apply it to the next thing that I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's good. And it's so true. And I think when you're right, we make things complicated from overthinking, and it's funny because I work with clients on this and I love it. I think this is why we're always learning, because we recognize we all have things that we have to work through ourselves as entrepreneurs, leaders, mentors, all of those things. None of us are immune from these things that we have to work through. But I think it's great when you get to the place where you can kind of start recognizing that, and for me, like I said, the perfectionism thing, like I feel like that's always been there. But I think as I was really going through this whole building process, I realized how powerful it is for me. It can be crippling, and I laugh even about the podcast, because this show, for example, has been around for over 5 years now. I started as I mentioned to you off screen, in October of 2019, and I have left pretty much most those shows out there for people to go and look at, because I want people to see, not because I want to say, hey, look how many shows I've done. It's more about the growth. It's more about giving people hope that go back and look at this and you can see the work. This has been a process of making a lot of errors. And the reason I'm telling you this is because when you are a perfectionist, go back and look at those, you cringe. You you might know, I cannot believe I said that or did that or allowed that. You know what I mean? And so there's beauty in that. And the other thing I like to take from that is I say it really taught me how to be okay with those mess ups, be okay with all of that. You know what I mean? And so now when I go on my shows, that's why I tell you, we don't do a whole lot of edits on these shows. I let them go as they go because I want it to be raw and authentic, but it's now I'm okay with that more so. Whereas before that would have been like hard for me not to go through and want to be like editing out things I've said or did the way I was looking, and there's beauty in the messy, and moving past that stuff. And so I love that you said, just start. Just sometimes you just gotta start and embrace the stuff that happens and learn from it.
Very true. I know, again, I've learned, I used to be like wanting everything to be perfect. Sometimes just as you mentioned, like it's actually more stress because you keep on like building and you keep on thinking it's not good enough. And it's just like learning throughout time that, again, nobody knows everything. Nothing is perfect. Just start somewhere. And like even, and you mentioned, this was a great example that you said you go back and look at your previous shows. Something in software engineering is like you can be really good, but then you go back and look at your code from like the year before and you're like, oh my God, why did I do it this way?
Yep. Yeah, it's good though. I think it's good therapy for yourself.
Mm-hmm. It is. You have to go back and remind yourself.
Yes. you learn to give yourself grace, and you realize, man, if you practice something long enough, you can get better, It's good. It's good. I love it. I had a good question for you, and then I lost it in the middle of this whole process here. It was like really good. Well, it'll come back to me. So I would love to know, so how long now did you go to school here in the States, or did you go to school back home and then move here? Walk me through that a little bit.
I was 16 when I moved to US.
Okay.
So I had finished 10th grade back in Iran, is where I was born and grew up. And so I had to go to high school for like 2 semesters to take certain courses like US history and government in order to be able to graduate high school here.
Gotcha.
And then I immediately started college, and then later on went to University of Texas in Austin.
I saw that. So you've been here a while then. You've been here for a little bit.
December 1st, and I always remember because it's like a December 1st number. It's been 46 years.
Wow. Awesome. Well, congratulations. Yes. Awesome. Congratulations. So I would love to know, with Zen Business, because like I said, you guys are doing amazing things over there. And I read somewhere, I think in here, about having a lot of female employees in there. And so I would love to know, I think this is a really good question about, how you feel that you keep, how do you have the culture in the company? Like, tell us a little bit about the culture, because I think this is important, especially when you're working with women, right? Like, I came from the network marketing space. I was in Mary Kay for 20 something years, worked with that. That's been my career, working with women. It's not always an easy thing, but I think it's about creating culture, right? Like, people work in companies where they feel valued and appreciated and feel like they're contributing to something bigger. And I think you are a visionary. So I want to know some of your knowledge there, wisdom. Give us some nuggets from this.
Okay. Well, I don't know. There might not be much wisdom to it. It might just be like my learnings over the years.
That's fine. Totally.
When we first started, for a few years before we started Zen Business, and also like the company, I was at other companies that you would hear about, there was a lot of effort always around more diversity, right? And which is great. Like, I love that. But then the thing for me that was missing in those messages was it sounded like it was just about meeting a number or a percentage versus thinking more intentionally about, well, diversity in which roles and which levels, right? Diversity would be really impactful. And I truly believe a diverse team is a much better team as far as productivity, ideas, and innovation is concerned. But then that needs to happen at different roles and different levels at the company. So when we first started Zen Business, my co-founders and myself, we would have those conversations. And me, was really pushing for, very early on, like keeping that in mind as we're hiring, as we're growing the company. And I always say we have these, new employee welcome sessions, on a regular basis, where my co-founder and myself, our CEO, we go through like the company's vision and mission, the strategy, and the history, the culture. And this is one thing that I always say, and I tell people that the reason you're here is because there's so many pieces to this puzzle. And we have people join us to become a team member, to take a piece of this puzzle and run with it and truly own it. And a part of that also, the meaning for me is that I want everybody to know that they have a seat at the table. They can talk about their ideas and opinions. As I am personally always been very opinionated. So I want everyone to have opinions when needed. And I want all of us to be paying attention to that. So I think like pushing for that stuff and constantly reminding everyone that that's a big factor in what we've been able to accomplish so far, and keep on reminding ourselves of like, what are the different aspects of this? And a big part of it is being how diverse we are at all the different levels at the company. And it makes a huge difference. This is what I've never known about, and I've never, go research myself, but others have told me in the past, which was a great information to have for me, was in my previous role at HomeAway. There was a few of us who were like VPs of technologies in different areas of technology. And at some point in my organization, I happened to have the highest percentage of female engineers. And that's when I was told that the reason is because you're leading this part of the organization. And that is super helpful for other females because they feel like maybe there's something different about this group or this organization. So since then, I'm like, oh my God, I never knew this. This is great to know. So I keep on like encouraging others, right? To do take on like bigger roles if they're interested in it. If they love doing that, do take it on. Don't be afraid. You'll learn as you go. And this is going to be a great encouragement to others, to the new generations as well. So yeah, we're at Zen Business. We're like over 46% of women, and in management is about the same percentage of women that are also in management. And I am just always so proud of that.
I love it. I love it. Well, and I think it's funny because as you were talking, I'm thinking about like one day I was telling somebody, I had a lady come on my show and we were talking, she said something about that I have a blend of pragmatism with optimism. Like I'm pragmatic, but I'm optimistic. And I'm kind of feeling that a little bit from you, a little bit. You're pragmatic, but you're an optimist. And those don't always go together. You usually have somebody that's very much an optimistic or somebody that prides himself on being pragmatic. They seldom do you find that I feel like, do they come together? So I think, yes, that is a gift because you can be, hey, this is the way we do things. This is how things go. But you're also a visionary, can see big picture and abstractly can think outside the box, which a lot of people struggle with. And I think that's important when you're in a visionary role to get people to want to be a part of something. And I love that you said the puzzle thing, because I talk a lot about puzzle pieces and the work that I do and how everything that we do is just a little piece of a puzzle in a larger scale of something, right? Like and I'm talking just on how we run our lives on a day-to-day, how all the little things that we do, we think that they really just impact us, but no, it's all a puzzle with us. And then we're a piece of a puzzle in a larger, grand scape of things. So I love that you're using that terminology.
Thank you. Yeah,
it's big picture thinking.
Big.
It's important. I think it's important. And, and I was talking to, I don't know where I saw something the other day. They were talking about this and I don't know all the science behind this. I looked it up to see if it was legit, but they were talking about how women use more of like their prefrontal cortex. And so they can think big picture. So this is probably some biological, there's some biological, uniqueness to this as well for women that they can do this. But I think it's great. Whatever it is, it's working for you. And it's giving you guys the ability to, grow the business and do it in a way that people are also growing within the organization. So I love that. So what's kind of I guess, maybe like any long-term goals for Zen Business? I know you guys are like trying to, take over the landscape for the new entrepreneurs coming out, and there's new entrepreneurs coming out like all the time. I mean, they're everywhere, right? But any I guess company goals that you guys have set out?
Well, we continue that. We do want to take over the world. We want to help as many entrepreneurs. We've already helped over 700,000 entrepreneurs, like starting their businesses or forming their corporations. And we want to continue on that path. And we want to be like the most trusted brand out there and keep on innovating and keep on building products and services that our customers and entrepreneurs need to manage their business and grow their businesses. So for us, it's like, okay, what are the next products and services? And what I'm super excited about, and constantly, because every year we do have a few of those that we start prioritizing and we start planning. And I'm excited about a couple of them next year. So, we'll see.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Well, you guys are doing awesome stuff. And a couple questions I want to ask you about you before we wrap up. This has been great. I would love to know, is there any particular mentor, maybe a book or anything? I'm sure there are a lot. You're probably like me, got a lot of them. Maybe like, how do you name them all, right? But anything that stands out in your mind that you feel like has been an inspiration in your journey?
My inspirations, there's always a lot to read, right? And my inspirations have always come mainly from people, from other people. Ever since I was a child, as I was growing up, as I moved here, as I interacted with many different people at all different levels, that has been, my best learnings and my inspirations.
Love it. I love it. I know it would be hard for me too. I do have one mentor that I like his books, and I could always fall back on that. But I'm like you. I feel like there's been so many things in my journey that have kind of been instrumental in the foundation of everything that I've done. And it goes all the way back. I tell the story about when I came into Mary Kay in November of I think it was 99, and I was in my late 20s with a toddler and had no clue that would be like the beginning ground of why I do what I do today. Had no, there'd be no way that I would even be able to, I don't think I'd ever be doing a podcast for starters, but also be able to have the kind of optimism that I'm able to carry in the work that I do, and I feel like it's all these pieces of our journey that if we were to look at the beginning to the end, none of it would make sense because we'd have no idea how we were here and we got to here. But once you start looking at the zigzag, and then you start connecting the overlaps, you go, oh, I can see it now, how it all transpired. And I think the people you meet along the way play a pivotal role in all those steps that we take in that journey.
Yes, so true. So true. It's like, as you said, like where we started and where we are now, I would have never thought, It's
right. Cool. I think it's awesome. So, my other question for you, I'm like drawing blanks and I don't know why you're so inspired. I'm like stuck on all the words you say. It's like I'm just stuck on what you're telling. Oh, I know what I'm going to ask you. I wanted to know what you've learned about yourself through this journey. I mean, having come from another part of the world and coming here. Did you speak English when you came to America?
I did. I did some, but still, like it wasn't my native language. But I did already knew how to speak English. So one thing that was great that actually helped me out was when I went to the high school to get admitted, the principal, it was a small school, the principal interviewed me because he was going to decide whether I needed to first go take some English classes or not. And I got a pass. So I think I was good enough at the time to be able to just like take classes other than taking English classes.
That's good. That's awesome. Well, to go back to what I was going to ask you when I interrupted myself, I want to know what you've learned about yourself in this journey so far.
What I've learned is try to be really open. Try to like constant learning for me has been super important. And again, as I mentioned before, don't like failures are really learning opportunities, and just applying them to your next part of your journey, or the next thing you're gonna do is super important. And also, if you want to do something, as I mentioned, to like start it really early and fast. And people, I always also tell people, especially younger generations, that like, if I could do it, you can do it too. As long as you want to, right? It's like, if you really want to, then you'll be able to do it. So I've learned like, you have to be open to change. You have to want to take risks, because a lot of times, a lot of things we do as entrepreneurs are taking risks. We just don't know what's going to happen, but being willing to do that and, and being okay with it is what I've learned. Like, okay, I can be better and better throughout the years at that. But one thing I wish though, and I always tell everyone else that as an advice, I wish I knew a lot earlier in my career that mentorship was such a thing, or having a coach is such a thing, right? Yes. I kind of didn't learn that till like later on, but that is super helpful. And when I say mentors, I don't necessarily mean, you have one person that you just talk to every week or every month. Just having like a network of people able to go ping when needed and bounce ideas against them. And when I learned that, I was like, oh my God, this is great. Because even like at some point, even early when I learned it, when I learned it, I was too shy about it. Right.
Mm,
Because I was like, oh, I don't want to waste anybody's time. It has to
right.
be, again, coming back to like being perfect, like it
Right.
has to be something like really major that I would want to ping this person and talk to them and occupy them for whatever amount of time. But I've also learned it's like, no, be more okay of like, that doesn't need to be perfect. And that's why you have those people in your network and they're willing, as I am willing to help others, I found those people that are willing and are open to give me their time when needed.
Yeah, no, that is so good. And you know what? It's interesting because when I came out of the network marketing space, that was one of the things I noticed, that a lot of the entrepreneurs that I was meeting don't have mentors. They don't, and I had it for years. So the entire time I was in that space, I've always had a mentor. So I sort of kind of took it maybe for granted a little bit, because we just had them right at our disposal. We could pretty much get anybody that wanted to take us in and would help us within reason, obviously. But it's amazing to me how many people don't understand the value of that and how much difference it can make. It's just sometimes it's just that accountability, right? Or just sometimes the ability to be able to bounce ideas off, or just get fresh perspective on something, and then another set of eyes on your vision, pain point, whatever you're needing to work through. You have somebody else look at it and go, maybe you want to rethink that, or that's a great idea, you should do it, or whatever. So I appreciate you saying that, because I agree with you on that, the importance of that.
It is great to just being able again to bounce ideas and get the feedback.
Yeah, well, you are awesome. I love what you're doing, love your story. I'm glad I got to chat with you today, and appreciate you so much sharing all of this amazing content in our platform so people can hear from you and what you guys are doing. If our audience wants to get in touch with you, maybe they want to learn a little bit more about Zen Business. Now that we're talking about it, we got entrepreneurs that listen to this show. They may want to be like, let me hit that button and go check all this out. Where do we want to send them, Shanaz?
Yes, zenbusiness.com. You'll find all the information you need. And tell us how we can help you. We'd love to hear from people. We'd love to hear from anybody who wants to start their journey as an entrepreneur.
And yes, you guys are easy to find. You go put it in the search engine, it'll come right up. I don't tell people about my name anymore. It's like, how do you spell? I'm like, just go punch it in, it'll come up. You'll find me. I can't hide.
It's very
Unfortunately, when you get in places where you talk a lot and you do things, right? Like you're growing things, people start figuring out who you are. So I hear you. So we'll make sure when we get the show notes put together for this, we'll get the website in there. That way it'll be in there. But everybody's going to know how to find you guys. You're not hard to find.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you, Shanaz. We appreciate you. And I want to wish you guys continued success on what you're doing, and keep inspiring and keeping the people moving in the right direction.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for having me on this show. It was great having this conversation. It was great meeting you. And you keep on doing what you do. I love your energy, and I love what you do. Really appreciate having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And to our audience, of course, we hope you found this episode inspiring and informative. Be sure you head on over to Zen Business so you can check them out, what they're doing. I'm sure there's something over there they might be able to help you with. And make sure you go over to wherever you hear this podcast, any platform, hit the subscribe, like, share, do whatever you need to do there so we can continue sharing all this inspiring information. And as I always say, in order to live the extraordinary, you must start. And every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, be kind to one another, and we will see you next time.